Hello.
Hi,
How are you, Jay?
I'm good.
Good. This is Prof. Key Warner from UCCS, and I'm down here at the city building in Colorado Springs, the planning office on the sixth floor of the, and it is October 1st, 2019. I may use this video more than 1 year, so I've got to put a little historical context. And I'm here talking today with Jay on behalf of our urban sociology class because Jay is a civic engagement specialist at the City of Colorado Springs in the Office of Communication. And he is also the chair of the School of Public Affairs at UCCS Advisory Board. So I met him at a function and we were talking about the urban class and some of the projects that we have in mind. And he graciously offered to come and talk with the class. Unfortunately, he's also civically engaged himself and has to coach soccer practice on Thursday evenings. So what we decided to do is record a little conversation to share with you students and put into the class Canvas shop. So that's kind of the idea. And I asked you if first of all, he would talk a little bit about how it is that he came into this kind of work and started working at the city from his educational background. Also, just to give a sense for you students that might have an interest in working within local government, what kinds of opportunities exist here. So why don't we just start there, Jay?
Great. So thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I am a proud Mountain Lion, 2010 graduate of the School of Public Affairs. I got my master's in public administration. I grew up. We'll start at the beginning.
Yeah, why not?
I grew up working construction. My family had a custom home building business, and we had always been less than enthusiastic about paying our local governments for the privilege of being inspected and told what we did wrong. But that was always an interesting kind of black box of government for me. So in 2007, 2008, we were in a big recession, and it was no fun to build homes anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was really interested in what happened in government. And so I went back. I went to UCCS for my master's, and along the way, I got really interested in local government. And so since I had never been in the public sector, the School of Public Affairs required for your master's an internship.
Right.
So I took an internship at the city manager's office here.
Right. And that's an unpaid internship usually?
There was some pay, but it was just kind of enough to keep you coming back.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So yeah, I interned in the city manager's office. At the time, we were changing from a council manager form of government to a strong mayor form of government, kind of growing up as a city.
Yeah.
And so I got to see that firsthand, which was really interesting. And then I am a generalist. So I figure I can pretty much learn whatever and make myself useful. So I've been I went from the city manager's office to the budget office. We have an office of innovation and sustainability, and I managed the grant for that. And then I worked in our Department of IT as a project manager, and then I found my way into this sort of civic engagement space.
Yeah.
I found that I had a passion for making sure that sort of where the rubber hits the road as far as city government goes, and that's where the work that city government does impacts the citizens. That point has been very fascinating to me, and that's kind of been a central point of my almost 10 years here at the city. Is just being focused on making sure that I always feel like we can provide services that are world class, but if we don't manage that point of where citizens receive that service, then it goes unrecognized. And so that's really been important to me to make sure that that point of interaction between citizens and government is done well. So that's where I find myself now in the city communications office, managing a number of digital tools and working in public participation processes. So we're trying to make sure that the citizens have their voice heard in government and that they experience the services of government well.
Yeah. And that's one of the interesting things I think about your project is how you're looking to technology to create some different opportunities for community engagement, and including the kinds of data that are available to the students for this class. So what's kind of the vision for how that might alter what it means to participate in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. So a lot of times when you see the way that citizens interact with their government or interaction in the civic space, we don't a lot of times agree on the underlying data. And so there's a lot of just preconceptions that, city government is, fill in the blank. So inefficient or whatever. But if you don't have facts to back it up, if you don't have actual data, then we're all just dealing with preconceptions.
Okay.
And so the idea is that if we can be working from the same sheet of data, then we can start making decisions based on that data instead of just on prejudices.
I see. Well, and I'm curious, does that mean that people are just accessing data in a different way, or is there actually different kinds of information that's becoming available that maybe wasn't at the fingertips for people in the past?
Sure. So one of the initiatives that I was responsible for was the city's open data program. So we've always there are requirements to be transparent about your budget,
Right.
or about the number of employees, or there's Open Records Act requests that people can file, and they can get the actual records that we use internally at city government.
Okay.
But the idea of open data is that the data that we produce as part of doing public business is itself an asset for the community.
Right.
And there are lots of examples of businesses and corporations being built on public data. If you think of Google, Waze, or
Right.
Google Maps, a lot of that is public data that was just acquired and then accumulated into one usable tool.
Okay.
Developing underlying data. And so that's something that if we can offer that in a way that's machine readable, it's free of license, it's free for reuse and that kind of thing. Bulk downloadable in these ways that are only available to us in the